tasting. This is breaking news. The Queen Elizabeth, has died. It is being reported by the BBC and Business Insider as of right now. It says that Queen Elizabeth II has died at age 96. Here's what happened, and here's what happens next for the throne, currency, and more. Queen Elizabeth II died at age 96. She was the longest reigning monarch in British history. Her death will result in many changes. The national anthem, passports, police uniforms, and even money will need to be updated. Most British people have never known life without the Queen. Queen Elizabeth II was the longest reigning monarch, as being reported in Business Insider, in British history. She was 96, and she reigned for 70 years after ascending the throne in 1952. She died on September 8th, 2022. For at least 12 days after her death, Britain will grind to a halt, potentially costing the UK economy billions in lost earnings. But it's not just the economy. Prince Charles may change his name, and the words of the national anthem will be updated as well. In a statement sent to Insider, Buckingham Palace said the Queen died peacefully at the Balmoral on Thursday afternoon. Inside Buckingham Palace, arranged after the Queen's death and the subsequent succession, according to documents obtained by Politico, the operation was codenamed London Bridge. Though further reporting by The Guardian said the operation was codenamed Unicorn if the Queen were to die in Balmoral. The detailed plan reportedly includes a call cascade to alert Britain's leaders of the Queen's death. The Prime Minister, the Cabinet Secretary, and the Privy Council office were all to be informed, followed by an official public notification. And this is according to the Daily Beast. But according to the Daily Beast, plans have long been in place to announce the Queen's death at 8 a.m. in the event that she dies overnight. The Royal Court has a staff hotline for distributing news and instruction to employees in case of a major event. Most staff members at the palace and associated institutions will be immediately sent home once the announcement has been made. A former staff member of the palace told the Insider these different things, but told the Insider that given Britain's global presence through its embassies, former colonies, and the Commonwealth, which swears loyalty to the crown, the Queen's death will be a top news story around the world. The immediate official government response in the UK beyond the expected statements of condolences will be harder to predict. The former palace employee Insider spoke to say, he spoke, and he said the last death of a monarch was in 1952. Procedures that seemed apt then may be woefully antiquated in the 21st century. Mourners wore black armbands to show respect for King George VI, for example, but similar public displays of mourning may not be employed today. So flags will be flown at half-mast until 8 a.m. the day after the funeral, according to the guidance from the Greater London Lieutenancy, with the exception of Proclamation Day. And more on that shortly. But churches may also toll their bells to mark the day of the Queen's death or the day after. The day of the funeral will be declared a bank holiday. The London Stock Exchange is likely to close if the announcement happens during working hours, and other businesses may too. So the London Stock Exchange is apparently closed. Following Princess Diana's death in 1997, The Guardian's Jonathan Freedland he wrote that many Britons felt forced to close their shops or cancel sporting events on the day of the funeral. At least they feel the rage of the tear-stained, hordes of people outside. So, given the Queen's stature and how intrinsically she was woven into the fabric of modern day Britain, there's likely to be an even greater public mourning of her passing than we even anticipate. The protocols that government bodies will follow will basically emanate from the departure of culture, media, and sport, though they may also originate from the palace. You know what I mean? A former ambassador, according to Business Insider, which is where I'm reporting my news from, is that spoke to said overseas posts will look to Foreign Office for urgent guidance. You know what I'm saying? Social functions will be canceled and the Union flag will be flown at half-mast until after the funeral, just like in the UK. Officials will enter a period of mourning and dress appropriately. Condolence books will be prepared for visitors to leave messages, but the ambassador also stressed that there is a lot of uncertainty about what will actually happen, as it has been so long since the death of a British monarch, you guys. Oh my. So once most of the staff members are out of the way and the public tourist attractions are basically closed, an Ascension Council will be held at the St. James Palace to formally declare the successor, Prince Charles, barring any unforeseen circumstances, as king. The Ascension Council will be attended by privy councillors, lords and lord mayors of the City of London, and high commissioners of certain Commonwealth countries, among others. The council is not required, however, to make Queen Elizabeth II's successor official, as Charles will be the monarch from the moment of her death. There is never not a sovereign on the throne. So this is also why the royal standard is never flown at half-mast, unlike the Union flag. Interesting. But at the council, the new monarch will swear loyalty to Parliament and swear loyalty to the Church of England. The new monarch will also become the new supreme governor of the church. Catholics cannot ascend to the throne. So the council will also make proclamation of Ascension to be read on Proclamation Day, soon after the death in London, Edinburgh, Windsor, York, and other towns and villages throughout the country. Woo. So both houses of Parliament members will have the opportunity to take a new oath of allegiance to the new monarch. All members of Parliament must swear allegiance to the present monarch, to the present king. Members of both houses will also present, addresses of condolences and loyalty to the new sovereign. A House of Lords representative told Insider in a format that is yet to be determined. But after this, both houses will be suspended until after the official state funeral. So don't expect too much to be coming out of Parliament. Now, it's saying here in Business Insider that Charles won't necessarily become King Charles. They have here that Arthur Bousfield and Gary Toffoli, he wrote that when Queen Elizabeth II was asked what she wanted her regnal name to be, she said, "My own, of course. What else?" But if Charles felt inclined to change, as Charles Philip Arthur George, he could also be King Philip, King Arthur, or King George. So William will become the new Prince of Wales. Charles's current role, the monarch's hey, his new current bro, which name's current bro? Prince Charles, Monarch Charles, has waited and prepared for this job for his entire life, y'all. And he's in his 70s, which is past the British age of retirement, but impatient? Me? What a thing to suggest! You know what I'm saying? Yes, of course he is. This is what he said in 2012. He said, yes, of course I am. He said in 2012, according to a Telegraph, I'll run out of time soon. I shall have snuffed it if I'm not careful. I don't even know what that means, Prince Charles, but you know. Now, Camilla was expected to become Prince Consort instead of Queen. But Queen Elizabeth II announced February 2022 that she wants the Duchess of Cornwall to be known as Queen Camilla in the future. So, when in the fullness of time, my son Charles becomes king, I know you will give him and his wife Camilla the same support you have given me. And it is my sincere wish that when the time comes, Camilla will be known as Queen Consort as she continues her own loyal service. The Queen wrote in her Platinum Jubilee message. Now, the Queen's coffin will be prepared to lie in state, meaning to be presented for public viewing so people can pay their respects. The Queen's body will lie in state at the Westminster Hall. There will be a short ceremony to mark the coffin's arrival, after which people will be able to file past and pay their respects. The hall will be open all but a single hour a day. That representatives, this is what the representatives are saying. There may be a new vigil of the princes. So when the Queen Mother lay in state after 2002 death, her grandsons briefly relieved the official guard, to stand over her coffin in what was called the Vigil of the Princess. Something similar happened after the death of King George IV of the Fifth. It's likely that a similar act of remembrance will be accorded to the Queen Elizabeth II. More than 200,000 people paid their respects as the Queen Mother lay in state, and the scale of the mourning for the Queen is likely to easily, basically, eclipse that. Of course, y'all know there will be a public outpouring of grief. I mean, because when Princess Diana died, the public turned out in tens of thousands just to lay flowers outside of Buckingham Palace. By some estimates, as many as 1 million bouquets were left, according to The Guardian. People queued up for about 10 hours or more just to sign that memorial book, y'all. So though the day of her funeral wasn't a national holiday, one person described it as the BBC's as everything closed, saturation TV coverage. No one was at work. She said there were scenes of unbelievable grief, said another, adding it was though as all the people had lost someone incredibly dear to them, and their emotions was just basically genuine. So, yes, the funeral will be attended by leaders from around the globe. Queen Elizabeth II's body will continue to lie in state until the day of the funeral, which will be a public holiday. So, the Daily Mail reported that this is likely to happen 12 days after her death. So, the coffin will be transported to Westminster Abbey by gun carriage for a state funeral. At 9 a.m. that day, Big Ben's bell will ring once, and then the bell's hammer will be covered with a leather pad to dampen the tones for the rest of the day. Insiders previously reported that. Now, world leaders from across the globe will come to pay their respects. Elizabeth II was the most senior head of state in the world, having been on the throne for more than 70 years, you guys. So billions of people around the world are going to watch this funeral. I hope you're ready. You know what I'm saying? On the day of Princess Diana's funeral, over 1 million people were lined. They lined the route of the funeral cortege to the Abbey, and this was according to the BBC, with 30 million British people turning in to watch it worldwide. There were as many as 2.5 billion viewers back then. So the viewership of Queen Elizabeth II's funeral is likely to be that, or the equivalent, if not even more. So the services will be led by Justin Welby. That's the Archbishop of Canterbury. and the second most senior figure in the Church of England after the monarch. So the Queen will be buried at the King George's VI Memorial Chapel at Windsor Castle. And after the funeral, Queen Elizabeth II will be buried in the King George's VI Memorial Chapel, according to the Telegraph. So the body of her late husband, Prince Philip, who died at age 99 on April 9th, 2021, will be moved from the Royal Vault beneath St. George's Chapel to join her. Oh, how sweet. Oh, my goodness. A year later, after, 12 days from today, or 13 days or 14 days from today, it will be time for a coronation. After a certain period of mourning, up to a year or so, there will be a coronation. It's highly ceremonial, very highly ceremonial affair, and Charles' authority as sovereign will be derived from the ceremony. So he should choose to so he could choose to forgo it altogether, is what I'm trying to say here. Like, he don't have to do this ceremony. But assuming Charles, felt like he fell in 2012, but assuming Charles does not wish to totally break with tradition, it will again be held at the Westminster Abbey and officiated by the Archbishop of Canterbury. And here's some archive footage. Well, I guess I can't show you all that footage, but the coronation will cost Britain billions of pounds. This is not good when they're facing a winter crisis and all kinds of other things, inflation and rent prices. The entire event will be broadcast on television and streamed online, and there will be parties throughout the country, just like after the royal wedding of Prince William and Kate Middleton in 2011. So as a national holiday, this whole ceremony, the wedding, lost the economy between 1.2 billion and 6 billion, and the coronation will be similar. So this coronation is going to cost a lot of money, in addition to the direct cost to the taxpayer of holding the largest British ceremonial event since 1950s. Y'all, there's going to be a new currency that's going to be printed and minted immediately. British currency bears images of the monarch, and the portraits of Charles would have been made in preparation. So the entire stock of currency won't be replaced overnight, however, but it will take several years. How much, if I was them, I'd be saving those Queen Elizabeth dollars and stuff. Notes and coins are gradually removed from circulation today. The British national anthem will also change, you guys. God Save the Queen will get some new lyrics and some old ones. Rather, it will become God Save the King, as it was before Queen Elizabeth II and when she ascended the throne. So, they actually had a little snippet of that, but y'all can't see that either. Also, police officers will need new uniforms because police will need a new insignia on their helmets, which currently displays the Queen's initials and and regnal number. So likewise, a great deal of military insignia will also require updating. Passports and stamps will need to be updated. Passports too will need a refresh. My goodness, even mailboxes will need a change. Oh my God, after the Queen was crowned, her regnal number 2 caused controversy in Scotland, which she also rules. As there was never a Scottish Elizabeth I when post boxes bearing her cipher were erected in Scotland. Some were attacked and vandalized. And also the Queen will be memorialized, needless to say. The 4th plinth in London's Trafalgar Square is currently dedicated to temporary statues and works of art, but former London Mayor Ken Livingstone said his understanding was that the 4th plinth is being reserved for Queen Elizabeth II. That's nice. All right, y'all, and that concludes our report from Business Insider on the Queen and her passing and the things that will happen and transpire afterwards. I hope y'all enjoyed. I'm gonna come back to my own video and and just kind of go over what this was. But love, peace, and hair grease. This has been a Breaking Hot Chocolate News event. Always follow me on all my social media. Period. Black Girl Magic Master. Find me. You know what to do. especially my people. My people smart enough to know how to find me. Shoot.